Okay, so I'm going to do nonfiction book talks. So the first book I'm going to talk about is called Muckers by Sandra Neal Wallace. Okay, this is based on a true story of a football team in Arizona. It was actually in an Arizona mining town. I can't remember the name of the town. But anyway, so it's the story about how this football team that pretty much had no resources, didn't even have a good field, and how they became state champions. So I guess the way that this fits into the nonfiction is that it's a true story. It's a memoir. It's written about something that really happened. So when you're considering nonfiction books, okay, it could be something like this. It could be a true story that somebody writes about themselves, or it could be a true story that somebody wrote about, something else that happened to somebody else. Okay, so that's what this book is. It's a true story about an Arizona football team, a high school football team that becomes the state champions. Okay, here's another one. It's called Standing Tall. Okay, this is a, I'll put it up close so you can see, the stories of 10 Hispanic Americans. Okay, and so what it is that this is a biography. It goes through and it actually tells, like, each chapter is a different biography of 10 Hispanic Americans that have been important. Okay, so that's pretty much what that story is. So once again, it's nonfiction because it's biographies, and the author, okay, it's Argentina Palacios. So if you're interested in that one, that's a good one to choose. Here's another one. It's called Radioactive. Okay, how Irene, Curie, and Lise Meitner revolutionized science and changed the world. Okay, once again, true story. In 1934, Irene Curie, working with her husband, they made a discovery that would change the world, and this is what it goes through. It talks about how the invention occurred, and it just came out January 5th, so this is a brand new book. And so if you can't find it, I do have it obviously available in my office, but if that's one that you're interested in, let me know. All right, here's another one. This is an advanced reader's copy, okay, as well. It's called Hana's Suitcase by Karen Levine. Karen Levine actually has a lot of nonfiction books, and she does a lot of Holocaust books. Okay, so this is a true story. This one is actually the... it takes place more in modern day time. Okay, there's a little Holocaust education center in Tokyo, and a girl receives an empty suitcase, okay, from the Holocaust Museum, and so they're really trying to figure out, where this suitcase came from and what is the story behind this suitcase. There's another one by Karen Levine that I read, and I can't remember the title of it, but it was very similar. Another one that was really good. All right, so there you go. All right, here's another one that you might be interested in. It's called Beyond Magenta, Transgender Teens Speak Out. So this is another one. It's a collection, okay, of stories of transgender teens who have, had experiences with discrimination. Okay, and so that's pretty much what this book is talking about and going on about, is that it'll give you an idea. This is what kids are going through in high school. This is the experience of what these kids had. So it's a really important resource, and something that it might give you an idea of what is going on. And it's a true story. There are 6 first-person narratives in this book. All right, here's another one. So nonfiction. This one is, okay, I'm making sure that you can see it, called The Invincible Microbe, Tuberculosis. So this is a scientific book, but it's written in a way that is accessible, okay, for students to understand. And so pretty much it's just talking about tuberculosis, and gives a background information, talks about what it is, and it's a narrative. It's written as a narrative, so it's definitely a good book that is not just a dry nonfiction book, I guess. Okay, here's another one. This one is called Andrew Jenks, My Adventures as a Young Filmmaker. So this one, the main character is a young filmmaker, okay, and he's like telling his story of how he became a filmmaker, what you know, maybe some clues of how students could you know, be more successful at doing that if that was something that they were interested in doing. And you know, it's like an autobiography. So, all right, nonfiction. All right, here's another one. I thought this one looks really good. Okay, this is the migrant farm workers fight for their civil rights. So this is a civil rights book. It's a story of the grape strike in the 1960s, where Filipino American workers were demanding wages in the California vineyards, and how the strike began. And what happened. And so this one, it came out in 2014. So it's called Strike, the Farm Workers Fight for Their Rights. Okay, by, who is this by? By Larry Dane Brimmer. All right. All right, and then this one, this is actually about Dorothea Lange. So those of you that are interested in art, it's called Restless Spirit. And it really just goes through and talks about, you know, how her photographs, you know, of migrant workers during the Great Depression, and her images of Japanese Americans during World War II that were interned, how it put, you know, human faces on some of these things that are, you know, definitely dark in America's history. And so I think this one would be really an interesting book to read as well. All right, and then last but not least, what I'll talk about is another Holocaust book. It's called To Life, 36 Stories of Memory and Hope. So this is a collection. It is just a bunch of, you know, different stories of people that survived the Holocaust, and different stories that have to do with the Holocaust. It is edited by the Holocaust or the Museum of Jewish Heritage. So there's not just one specific author, but it is just a collection, like I said. So the Museum of Jewish Heritage created this and collected it. So if you're getting the idea, most of the nonfiction books that I talked about, I mean, they're definitely interesting. I mean, some of them are, you know, going to be more like, look like nonfiction books, okay? Some of them are going to look more like narratives, like people are just telling stories, like this one. I mean, they're gonna have pictures in it though, so that's a little bit different than the novels that we've been reading. So be prepared. I mean, that's something that's gonna set these ones apart a little bit, but also think about, like, what is the, you know, strength of having those resources, and having the pictures, and having the charts, or whatever's in each of those books, and how can that help you to, you know, understand the book better. So this was out of the Invincible Microbe. So you can see every one of these books, you know, for the most part has pictures in it. Now the story that this one has a few pictures. Okay, this is one of the boys in the Transgender book. So, you know, they give you a little bit of visual. Okay, Hana's Suitcase. I think what this one, and if it's similar to the other ones that I've read by Karen Levine, is that it's going to go back and forth in between. Okay, so it's going to be Tokyo, okay, to Tokyo modern day, but then it's going to go back to, you know, a different place, or go to a different time period. Okay, so anyways, that should hopefully help you. If you're interested in, you know, memoirs, that's fine. If you're interested in more of these nonfiction looking books that might be resources for your future classroom, or could help you in science lessons or something like that, you're definitely welcome to use those as well. Thanks.